All right, ladies and gentlemen, we only got a couple of seconds before it's 12:35, and I can go ahead and get started on time for all of you. It's 12:35, so let's begin. Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another One Piece chapter reaction and review. Last we left off, we saw the aftermath of Kuma bodying Jay Garcia, the Buster Call being enacted, everyone trying to make their way so they can escape Egghead, but with Kizaru and Jay Garcia blocking them at every turn. And I just realized that my chat is not in view. So hold on, let me get y'all in here. Ogata, Ozzy, Cohagen, I gotta get y'all all up in here. Y'all gotta be displayed off to the side. Liking the drip? Well, thank you. The color scheme was lavender and some other color I forgot, but I don't have any purple shirts. Purple shirts for church. I don't have any purple shirts for church, so I just had like a tie. So this is about the best that I could do. Let me get chat in there for the rest of you. Oh, right. I gotta turn it on. There we go. Much better. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we had a whole bunch of things happen in the last chapter, and the last we saw of it, well, the last panels we had from the last chapter was those... Jay Garcia gloated earlier on that he sent some warships after the evacuees of Egghead on the pretense of, like, they could know something about the Void Sentry, and... he had a ship sent out in order to destroy it, much to Vegapunk's anger and shock and horror. But the last panel we get is that those same warships, were destroyed by someone. They never made it. So now the question is, who destroyed the warships? So let's begin with chapter 1106 on your side. Reader request, Robin giving a crocodile a cute outfit by Abba. And it's Robin who apparently was giving clothing tips to a giant crocodile. And you would think that her associations with a previous crocodile in the past, she'd be kind of adverse to it. But you know, Robin, she's open-minded. So beginning, we have a ship making its way to Egghead. I can't make out the shape of it. And someone is going, look at them going at it, just like the paper said. And this must be someone on this ship because it's heading towards the Buster Call of Egghead. And we have Luffy, who's like burping, and then all of a sudden, Luffy is burping, and then all of a sudden, all that massive weight that he had from all that food that he ate, he instantly digests all of it, and he's back to his normal state. He's back to his normal size. Huh? He just digested all that food. Feels like I'm next. Is he not human? And then all of a sudden, an explosion happens near where Luffy's still laying down. Whoa! Watch out! And that's the coughing in there. It's not me this time. Look out! We're getting surrounded by flames! Because there's still Navy soldiers on Egghead while this Buster Call is still going. Yo, and Luffy is going Gear 5 right then. We can't stay on this island any longer. I know he's an emperor, but on the count of 3, we'll all put the Sea Prism Stone cuffs on him together. And mind you, Luffy is laying here, smiling, as his body turns into his Gear 5 state. He's just he's going Gear 5, so these Navy soldiers... It's nice knowing you. And then we cut back to the outside of Egghead as the bombardment continues. 1, 2... Ah! Get on the ships!
Egghead is done for!
Turn it into a sea of fire! From the shore inward! And they just continue to fire. They just continue to fire and continue the Buster Call of Egghead. Then we cut to the scene where Kuma and company are falling through the air, because in the last chapter, while Atlas and company were using the vacuum tube in order to get up to the Labo phase, Kizaru cut not only the vacuum tube, but the capsule that they the capsule that they were in, Sorry, it's not a sick cough, it's just like an irritant cough. My apologies for that. They're flying through the air because Kizaru cut straight through with his Amado Murakumo sword, and now all of them are falling towards the ground. Kuma, Bonnie, Frankie, and Atlas. Sanji is on the ground. And while that's happening, Jay Garcia ordered the Pacifistas to aim at Kuma and Bonnie specifically. And he was just thinking, it's extremely exquisite that you'll die at the hands of clones that look just like your own father. And this is Jay Garcia thinking this. And then we have Vegapunk who's going,
Kuma! Bonnie! Come in! Atlas!
And then we have Jay Garcia.
Shoot that foolish family once and for all.
And the Pacifistas are aiming. Their hands, their laser beam shooting hands are starting to charge up.
Atlas! Tell Bonnie!
And then it has Sanji who's using Skywalk to get to him. Bonnie, I'm coming!
I'll do it, Stella!
And then it shows Atlas saying something to Bonnie. And Bonnie's looking like, huh? And then it shows the Pacifistas, the light emanating from their hands charging up. And then it cuts to Bonnie going,
Don't shoot us, Daddy! Help us escape this island!
And then it shows Bonnie's shock as the Pacifistas start having something beep in on them. And then it shows the other soldiers.
Did you hear a voice? Through all the explosions?
Couldn't have. And then the Pacifistas change their aim from Bonnie and Kuma and aim towards the soldiers.
Huh? Why are they aiming this way?
And it shows the Pacifistas as they turn around and they start destroying all the warships. I know why. I know why. They just start bodying everybody. They start destroying warships. You see the explosions, and you see the ships just crumbling from these explosions.
Yeah! Yeah! The Pacifistas have gone haywire!
Huh? And then Jay Garcia's all like, huh? He's confused about what's going on. And then we have Vegapunk going,
The one worry in the back of my mind.
As the Navy soldiers are just being destroyed by all these Pacifistas. Yo, Vegapunk seriously just turned on Jay Garcia right here and then.
The one worry in the back of my mind was seeing Bonnie killed by the father she loved. If you were to harm the daughter you love so much, Kuma, it would be a tragedy beyond compare.
As all the Pacifistas are just destroying all the warships.
Therefore, I inserted a directive into each unit made to look like Kuma.
And as Vegapunk is revealing his secret master plan.
So that even if the highest authority in the world should command it, even if the entire world should be your enemy, understand this, Bonnie. Kuma will always be on your side.
Yes, let's go, Vegapunk! He defied the world government. Bonnie has the highest authority over the Pacifistas. All of them. She has the hierarchy was like people who have the authority chip. Then Sentomaru, then Vegapunk, and then originally the Gorosei. But now we can change up that hierarchy where it's authority chip. It's authority chip, Sentomaru, Vegapunk, the Gorosei, and now the highest authority that can command any pacifista is Jewelry Bonnie! Vegapunk, you, the real MVP right here now.
It would, let me see, so that even if the highest authority in the world should command it, even if the entire world should be your enemy, understand this, Bonnie. Kuma will always be on your side.
As the pacifistas are just like doing work, they destroying every single warship they come across.
This is just a selfish wish of mine. And it means I know what comes next.
As Jay Garcia impales Vegapunk. Yo. Yo. In the biggest act of defiance, in front of one of the rulers of the world, aside from him, Sama. He gets impaled by Jay Garcia himself. He knew what was going to happen, but he did it anyway. That's the reason why he's an MVP.
It is obvious that there will be consequences.
And then Bonnie screaming,
Vegapunk! For my willful actions.
and Vegapunk is just glaring at not Vegapunk. Jay Garcia is glaring at Vegapunk. No, Vegapunk! Because Frankie was really looking forward to speaking with Vegapunk even more and learning more from Vegapunk, and now he's been impaled through the chest because of Jay Garcia.
Eliminate them, Kizaru! No!
And then Kizaru phases out of sight, and then he just appears right beneath Bonnie and company. And he starts using I want to say he starts using Yasakane no Magatama, because he just starts shooting at all of them. Bonnie gets hit. Atlas gets hit. I think Sanji gets hit as well. Frankie gets hit too. And then he uses Amuro Murakumo. I'll cut you both in two. Don't worry, Bonnie. It won't hurt. And as Kizaru is right in front of Bonnie and Kuma, Kizaru! As Luffy appears right out of nowhere, and Kizaru is surprised as a hockeyed up Gear 5 fist comes flying in and punches Kizaru aside. And mind you, Luffy is not all the way there. He stretched his fists to hit Kizaru from a far off distance, and he's just laughing. Straw Hat? Where? Yeah! Full tummy! Full power! And this is Luffy. I'm having fun now! Doom doo da da. Doom da da da. Doom da da da. Doom doo 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 doo. Luffy's in Gear 5, and Sanji and he's affecting all of Egghead. All of Egghead is starting to become bouncy and cartoony and very rubber hosey, and everyone hits the ground, but they hit it safely because it's all bouncy now. It's like a trampoline. They all land safely on the ground. Whoa! Yeah! Ugh. You all right? And this is Sanji. Does the island seem like it's shaking? Who cares about that? Stop the Pacifistas! Wow, wow. Luffy's awakening, his Gear 5 state, is so potent, it's affecting the entire island. The entire island is shaking and moving because of Luffy's awakening. It's affecting the entire... That's a massive radius. We've seen. I'll get into it. I'll get into it once I'm done. Who cares about that? Stop the Pacifistas! And as Luffy's in his Gear 5 state, and you hear the sound of Nika going doom da da da, doom da da da. You get Jay Garcia, who's shocked to hear this sound, and then you have Kizaru, who's just laying back in the crater that he was knocked into, just holding his head as the sound continues. And then it shows Bonnie, who's checking on Vegapunk. Vegapunk, come with us. They'll kill you. And then as that's going, the ancient robot stirs again, and it actually starts to move. You get a creak sound from it. See, we were wondering where this giant ancient robot was. You ain't gonna stop me from being excited because of this chapter. That we were wondering where this giant ancient robot was. How come we haven't seen it? Has it been moving ever since Luffy activated Gear 5? But it turns out it still hasn't moved yet. It just shut down. But then it starts to move because of the sound of Nika. It starts to move because of Nika. And it starts creaking, and you hear like this, like it's booting up. Then we cut back to Bonnie, who's holding on to Vegapunk, and she starts hearing the same rhythm that Kuma taught her growing up.
This rhythm. Nika?
Nika? That's Nika. That's right. He's my idol. He appears from the blue with laughter in this rhythm. Doom da da da. Doom da da da. Doom da da da. This is Kuma teaching this to Bonnie. And as Bonnie looks up, hearing this sound that she's grown up to know because Kuma taught it to her, she looks up as we get Luffy flying through the air, just like he did when he was about to beat down Kaido when he first activated this form. We see Luffy flying through the air in that same exact pose, the same one that Kuma taught her, told her about stories about, and she sees it for the very first time.
So, you didn't realize it, Bonnie. I couldn't be sure until I saw it myself. The very same Straw Hat Luffy that Kuma had his eye on was Nika, the Sun God!
And this is Luffy flying through the air, and then tears start to appear in Bonnie's eyes.
Huh? Kuma was right. The Buster Call is futile. For centuries, people all over the world have been waiting for him.
And this is Vegapunk as he lays bleeding right next to Bonnie. Northeast coast of Egghead. We're off the northeast coast. There's an enormous ship heading our way.
That's definitely them, all right.
I thought they fell apart over 100 years ago, though.
Should we stop?
Nah, charge right through them.
But why are they here?
Well, here they come.
Fire! Blast it! Why are there giants here?
Why, they asked Dory.
Why, they asked Dory.
When all that happens in the world is inevitable, Broggy. We're here for you, Straw Hat!
A new state of emergency! The giant pirates have arrived!
Yeah. Or should it be Sun God?
Oh! Ladies and gentlemen, we stand at attention as the most unprecedented arrival to save Luffy and company. It's Dory and Broggy, and they know he's Nika. They've come to take him to Elbaf, the greatest rescue in the history of One Piece has arrived as we prepare for Elbaf. It's Dory and Broggy! I'm happy. That's the end of the chapter. We know who saved the civilians. It was the giant pirates, Dory and Broggy, leading the charge. And they're here for Luffy. They're here to bring him to Elbaf. Y'all ain't ready. The Navy is so prepared for normal situations, but they ain't prepared for when giants show up and it's all like,
We're here for you, Straw Hat! Or should it be Sun God?
And they just start wrecking everybody. To be continued, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. All I can say is I am immensely happy with this chapter. I have no idea what happened in chat. You know, some ignorant fellow always showing up once more. But you know, all I can say is what a chapter. This was great. Okay, so let's go over what's happened. I have no idea. What was happening in chat. I'm glad that y'all took care of that. I appreciate that. But this was a great chapter. Okay, let's just go through it. So going through this chapter, the Buster Call is continuing. And Luffy manages to digest all of his food, and he immediately goes into his Gear 5 state. But when they try to get him, they all get sent flying. Every single naval soldier that was trying to grab him all get sent flying into the air because there's an explosion, and you see their bodies just flying through the air. Then it shows the pacifistas aiming towards Kuma and Bonnie. But Atlas whispers something to Bonnie because it turns out that Vegapunk had a contingency plan. He had a contingency plan just in case the world government tried to use Bonnie's father against her, Kuma against her. So now we get this confirmation that Bonnie now has the highest authority over every single pacifista. All of them. Each pacifista now has a directive where if Bonnie asks them to do something, they will always be on Bonnie's side. She now can command every pacifista that she comes across. Now this makes sense that Oda never showed, out of all of the supernovas, out of all the worst generation that ran into Pacifista during Sabaody, why we never saw Bonnie interact with one. Because if we saw her interact with one, and she actually commanded them, no, don't hurt me, we would have learned that she may have had some influence over them. So now I know why we never saw. We saw all the rest of the supernovas and we saw the rest of the worst generation deal with pacifistas before, but we never saw Bonnie. I found that curious. Now I know why, because Oda specifically made it so that if Bonnie ever ran into a pacifista, we would then learn that she has authority over them. To get that revealed, that's amazing. It shows that even though the world government thought they had sway over Vegapunk, they thought they had sway over him where he would just do whatever they asked without question. But it turns out that he went up against them, knowing the consequences, because in the process, Vegapunk gets skewered by Jay Garcia. And I just commend Vegapunk for going against the grain, for going against the world government, and just doing that so that Bonnie could never. The fact that she's capable of just commanding pacifistas and they immediately switch around and they start blowing up all the warships that's causing the Buster Call, that's amazing to me. Hold on, let me see what you guys have all said. So first, let me acknowledge everyone. Ogata-san, Kohagen, Ozzy, Ravi, retired band fan. Let me see here. Alessio, good to see you as well. And Halster as well. And that's it. This chapter was amazing. So they switch around and they start blowing up all the ships. And since they're like Mark IIIs, they're tougher. They're tons tougher than your average pacifista. And they just start blowing up all the ships. Everyone on the warships are getting bodied left and right. But Vegapunk gets skewered. And then Kizaru goes after them at the command of Jay Garcia. But before that happens, Luffy comes in and he just punches away Kizaru. Mind you, he used Haki as well. So Kizaru definitely got hit by that. He got hurt by that. It doesn't show blood on him. Before Kizaru can slice through both Kuma and Bonnie, Luffy shows up and punches him. And this is when Luffy's entire Devil Fruit power starts to affect all of Egghead. It makes the entire island bouncy, so that everyone who was falling through the air before, they land on the ground safely. So that's the furthest range I have ever seen an awakening affect an area. Mind you, we've seen it kind of widespread with Katakuri. We've seen it kind of widespread with Doflamingo, but we've never seen it to the extent where it's affecting an entire island. Because even people on the outside of the island is noticing that the whole island is shaking and moving, which is essentially how Luffy is moving. So while that's going on, we see the robot and it starts to stir. It actually starts to creak and move because of the influence of Gear 5, because of the influence of Nika. It senses Nika and it's starting to move. So while that's going on, Vegapunk is explaining who Luffy is. The very same person that Bonnie has been looking for. Not just Kuma, but the very same person that Bonnie has been raised to know. The very individual that is steeped deep into Buccaneer history. The very person she was hoping to find so she could reunite with Kuma. She finds out finally that Luffy is Nika. With the power that he has, he's Nika. So you didn't realize it, Bonnie. I couldn't be sure until I saw it for myself. The very same Straw Hat Luffy that Kuma had his eye on was Nika the Sun God. And she's just looking at him, and mind you, this is a juxtaposition to where Luffy, to how Luffy was the first time he used his power. And the first time he used his power and jumped up in the air like this as he's displayed on the pages, it was nighttime. It's daytime, and he's just jumping in front of the sun. But the first time we saw him, he was like Nika the Sun God, jumping in front of the moon. Now we have Nika the Sun God, jumping in front of the sun itself. And this light is just shining off of him in front of Bonnie, and she's just, her eyes start tearing up because it's the very same person she's been brought up to know. The person that brings joy and smiles to all. The very person that Kuma idolized. Right in front of her eyes. Which goes back to what I was saying during my last reflections on how she could potentially be the one member of the worst generation that willfully allies with Luffy and his crew simply because Luffy is Nika. And because of what she's been raised on, she could be the most ready to become an ally to the Straw Hat crew. I can say that. And this just hits the nail on the head because it shows Luffy's laughing face. It shows Kuma as he sees Nika. This Buster Call is futile. For centuries, people all over the world have been waiting for him. And then it shows a giant ship coming in from the distance. The ship is so large, it eclipses even the warships that were used during Enies Lobby in order to destroy Enies Lobby because of Spandam stupidity and enacting the Buster Call. A giant ship comes in, and it's sailing in, and it turns out to be Dory and Broggy, and they immediately start destroying warships, because the thing is, the Navy warships start firing on Dory and Broggy and their ship, but it doesn't do anything because, puny humans. But Dory and Broggy come in saying, "We're here for you, Straw Hat." They were sent here. Or should it be Sun God? So now, I gotta go back to what you guys have said. One of y'all said, I wonder if Shanks sent Dory and Broggy there, and is Omui and Kashi on the ship as well? Things that make you go, Yeah, because we haven't seen Omui and Kashi since Enies Lobby. We haven't seen them since Enies Lobby. Just reported to Team YouTube about a certain individual, so hopefully they will ban him indefinitely. Ozzy, thank you. I appreciate you. Who would have thought Dory and Broggy, no Rev Army, not the Grand Fleet or the Blackbeard Pirates? Oda is very unpredictable. DJ, I just, and this was during my last reflections, I just made a poll on what people would think, on who people would think that would be the individuals that show up at Egghead. On that list was the Revolutionary Army, the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, the Blackbeard Pirates, and, as a wild card, Germa 66. Those are the individuals that I picked, and many people thought it was going to be either the Revolutionaries or, but with the Straw Hat Grand Fleet and the Blackbeard Pirates having like 25% of the vote, and then Germa 66 being the lowest of it. But none of us could have predicted that it would actually be giants coming in and to get Luffy. They're here for Luffy. They're not just passing by. They're here for Luffy. And they also know he's Nika. So the fact that, man, they rolled up, they destroyed the ships that went after the evacuees. I wouldn't be surprised if all the evacuees are on the giant ship itself. I wouldn't be surprised if they're on it. I mean, the ship that Dory and Bragi are on, it's big enough to hold every single evacuee from Egghead. It's that big of a ship. It's Titanic. Not the Titanic, you know what I mean. It's Titanic description-wise. It's the world's biggest ship. Well, not really, because Thriller Bark is technically a ship as well. But it's massive. But I never would have thought we would see Dory and Bragi showing up to Egghead itself to get Luffy. Oda. And I'm so glad that I wasn't spoiled on anything concerning this chapter. It's the giants worship the sun god. We know this from Big Mom's flashback, and then Dory and Bragi knows the history. Yeah, they do. They're 100 years old. They're currently the oldest living individuals on the planet. Because, I mean, they're a full century old. Well, actually, they could be either older than the Gorosei, or actually, we don't even know how long the Gorosei have been around. We don't know. So, thoughts for another time. But the thing to take away from this is that the giants have shown up. And you know who's going to be happy to see Dory and Bragi again? Usopp. Because remember, Usopp is a massive fan of the giants. Ever since the events of, what is it? Little Garden. The events of Little Garden. Usopp has been a massive fan of the giants. His dreams of going to Elbaf and finally meeting a giant and becoming friends with Dory and Bragi. They squashed the squabble between Dory and Bragi left Little Garden. But Usopp is gonna be crazy happy to see both Dory and Bragi again. Oh my goodness, the reunion that they haven't seen each other in 2 years. Dory and Bragi are 160 years old. Okay, so they're 160, but I say all that to say that, like, we still don't know how old the Gorosei is. I was about to say, like, they're some of the oldest living beings on the planet, but at the same time, I had to think of, like, well, we don't know how old Im-sama is, and we don't know how old the Gorosei is. Given Ivankov's comment about Im sharing the name of the same individual who once ruled the world earlier, we're getting off topic here. The biggest thing to take away from this is that Dory and Bragi are back, and they're here for Luffy. It's going to be a reunion 2 years in the making. Matter of fact, how long ago was it when we got first introduced to Dory and Bragi? How long ago? What was the chapter where we first got introduced? Chapter 116, episode 71, if you're going by the anime. And chapter 116 came out in 1999. Chapter 116 came out on December 13th, 1999. Weekly Shonen Jump issue 2000, issue 2. That's how long it's been. Volume 13. That's how long it's been. And Bragi's birthday was February 1st. Is it a coincidence? I think not. When it comes to Oda, there's no such thing as coincidences. So when we first got introduced to Dory and Bragi, it was back in 1999. Mind you, I wasn't reading One Piece back then. I was so young. I was a kid back then. But it's been so long. And now we have this reunion. We're about to have this reunion with the Straw Hats meeting Dory and Bragi once again. This chapter was amazing. The giants showing up to get Luffy. And my thing is, giants are strong. The Navy knows how to... The Navy has their own set of giants because they got a giant squad, thanks to Mother Caramel selling some giant children to the Marines through her orphanage. But The Navy was going to Egghead. Mind you, think of this. Think of this. You're a Navy soldier, and I'm gonna spend a little time with this before we move on to Jujutsu because my hero doesn't have a chapter today. But you're a Navy soldier. You've been doing your job for let's say 2, maybe 3 years. You've seen all sorts of things. You've seen all sorts of devil fruit users. You're used to insurrectionists. You're used to rabble and different types of individuals that you're used to normal stuff. Maybe you'll come across a devil fruit user, and you've been told how to deal with them. You've been used to that. Maybe you were one of the people that were sent out to take some of the warlords into custody when they were abolished. Maybe you think that everything is going fine. So then you get put on the detail to be sent out to Egghead on the pretense of a buster call is about to happen. You're thinking maybe you won't meet much resistance. You initially meet some resistance because of sea beast weapons that surround the island. Giant mechanical creatures that start destroying some of your friends' ships, some of the people that you've traveled with, and you think that, hey, let's destroy them with the help of the Pacifistas because we got one of the 5 elders and they got the chip, or someone else has a chip that can command the Pacifistas to be on your side. You think things are going fine. You're not where the sea beast weapons have been dealt with. The Pacifistas are on your side. You're surrounding numerous individuals that one of the 5 elders has commanded you to. You think everything is going fine. So, you get told, hey, a buster call is about to happen. Get back to the ship so we can raise this island to the ground. You still think things are going fine. The bombardment happens. You're taking part in it. You're even part of the crew that's firing a cannon at Egghead, destroying everything you see. Then you notice something popping up behind you. You see something massive. Something bigger than anything you've ever seen at sea before. It parts, it cuts through the fog. It starts mowing down ships. And the next thing you see are 2 full-size giants grinning ear to ear on this ship. And they start destroying all the ships around you, saying that they're here to rescue the very person you're trying to arrest. And in the process, your buster call is just being, your entire buster call line is being destroyed by 2 giants. We don't even see anyone else on the ship, but it's being destroyed by 2 giants. Imagine that sight. After years of service, and you are literally ants to these men. There's nothing you can do to them. You're face to face with 2 full-size giants that do not hesitate to start destroying everything around you. Yeah, and we also gotta consider not just Omui and Kashi, but we gotta consider Harudin as well. Because he left. He left Buggy's delivery service after the events of Dressrosa. But imagine being a sailor, a Navy soldier, and you think everything in your life has gone fine until the day you go to Egghead and a buster call happens. And while the buster call is happening, you get assaulted by a giant crew. A giant's crew. You ain't getting that servants package. This was an absolutely gorgeous chapter. Even though we're going on break from this, I'm okay knowing that Dory and Broggy, 2 individuals that love to fight. That's the thing, though. You got two of the most fight-thirsty giants who are here to get Luffy and his crew out. And the only people who stand a chance of even surviving an encounter with them is Jay Garcia and Kizaru. They're the only people that can stand a chance against them. Everyone else, y'all done. Y'all done. The Giants are here, led by Dory and Broggy, and they're here to rescue Luffy and company. I say that this is the perfect segue. Perfect segue as we get ready to go to Elbaf. Let me see what you guys have said. Dory and Broggy destroying the Buster Call. The Marine's going to take an L. I hope Saturn and Kizaru makes a move. We think this is going to be easy escape. No, I don't. Just because Dory and Broggy and he are here does not mean that escape is 100% assured. I'd be foolish to think that. I'd be foolish to think that just because Dory and Broggy showed up, then we good. And there's nothing that can be done to stop them. Mind you, they're incredibly strong. They're giants. Very few things can stop a giant unless you're incredibly powerful. We haven't seen all of what Jay Garcia can do, and we haven't seen all of what Kizaru can do. Kizaru hasn't had to face a giant before. I mean, he shot Oars before. Well, he wanted to shoot Oars, like, in the head. The biggest person that Kizaru has had to deal with was Whitebeard. And, he was coy dealing with him, just being nonchalant and everything. How do we know that the Giants are there for Luffy and not against Luffy? The reason why he says, we're here for you, Straw Hat, or should it be Sun God? Now, seeing as how it's been addressed already, that the Giants, revere the Sun God, revere Sun. Matter of fact, hold on, let me go here. Let me go back. And let me go to Elbaf. And let me go to Elbaf as a whole. And let me go to their citizens of Elbaf, cultures and traditions. Let me see. Wait, do they worship a sun god? Do they revere a sun god? Yes. Every year, the denizens hold a certain traditional festival known as Winter Solstice. As the name suggests, it is held during the end of the year to pay their gratitude to the sun. So it's not a sun god, but they revere the sun highly. So if they got Luffy, who's being called a sun god, then there's chances that they could be there for Luffy, for let me say this correctly. It could be that they're there for Luffy for non-hostile reasons, but there could be a chance that the sun god was the whole reason they were fasting during Linlin's flashback. See, I'm reading it here. Like, it could be that they're there for Luffy because he's known as a sun god, and they're here because of their tradition and everything. Oh, Luffy's a sun god? Well, that's interesting. We pay homage to the sun god for our winter solstice. Maybe we go save him. Or it could be that the giants see Luffy as an affront to their sun god, and they think that he's trying to, make a mockery of him. But I don't think that's the case. I honestly feel like Dory and Broggy are here to get Luffy out. That's how I feel. I honestly feel like they're here to get him out. And the thing is, Dory and Broggy, they know the Straw Hat crew. It's not like, oh, you're making fun of our sun god, so we're here to kill you. They know them. They're friends with them. Even though they're like battle hardy and they love to fight, I highly doubt that they're there to, fight Luffy here and now for such a small reason. I honestly feel like Dory and Broggy are here to get Luffy in a helpful way. Also, we have to remember that the Giants saved all the books from Ohara. Yep, brought that up. Maybe they read the history. I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants know the history of the world as well as Vegapunk. I wouldn't be surprised, given that they went to the trouble of getting all that information, all those papers, all those books that the Ohara scholars threw into their lake, and they came and got all of it and brought it to Elbaf. I wouldn't be surprised if they know the history. But I was thinking that Shanksi's, let me see. Saturn is a Godosei. He knows how to deal because they have been alive for centuries. They are the ones who defeated the Ancient Kingdom and Joy Boy. I mean, we don't know the whole story. That's the thing, though. That's the thing about the Void Century. Because if the Godosei were alive during the Void Century and all that history, ever since the very formation of the world government, we still don't know what went down. So that, I honestly feel like the day we find out what happened during the Void Century, how the world government was formed, and see that flashback, that's the big thing that I feel is going to be the most revealing out of everything in One Piece. Because finding out that period of time is literally one of the biggest mysteries of the entire series. They're indebted to the Straw Hats for what they did for them at Little Garden. Why would they try to fight them? Make it make sense. That's what I'm saying. They're friends with them. They're friends. People who tend to be friends with the Straw Hat crew tend to stay that way. Let me see here. And since the Giants were there when Kid took the L, look, Kid, he got bodied instantly. Ain't that funny? Law lasted longer against a Yonko than Kid did. Kid and Killer and his entire crew got bodied with Dorian Braga using Ikoku sovereignty. And then Law lasted a little bit longer against Blackbeard, but, he still got bodied as well with Beppo escaping in the distance. But that's a story for another time. But we still don't know. And DJ, that sounds nice. It sounds nice. Like Saturn is a Godosei. We know that he knows how to deal because they've been alive for centuries. We don't know that. That's an outstanding theory. That's one of the theories that many people have, been staking on. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of things that people are staking on, that they've been alive for centuries. We don't know the history because there's so little about the Godosei that we don't know. We're just now learning their names. We're just now learning that all of them potentially have devil fruit powers. And now we're seeing Jay Garcia, and he has one, and he's awakened. So there's still so much about the Godosei that we don't know, each of them individually. Mind you, we're only focusing on one. I said this during my reflections. We're only focusing on one. On one! There's so much mystery of One Piece that's left to be decided. That's left to be revealed, Left to be revealed. All I know is that for us to be going on break after this chapter, Dory and Broggy are about to do some work. The One Piece withdrawal starts now. I want my One Piece. 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 I know how you feel. But it's all good. At least we get a One Piece episode this upcoming Friday that continues off of when Law is encountering Blackbeard for their fight. Now remember in the anime of 1072, Kid said we wouldn't get taken out before Law and Luffy, and he gets taken out before Law and Luffy. So, talk crap, get slapped, I'm so interested on the Void Century, even though I want to know about God Valley. We still need to know more about that. We still need to know more about Rox, because we get Rox speaking, but we still don't get his full visage and him and seeing him. We still don't get it. We get like an outline from an image from Kaido's own memory, but I would very much like to see Rox. I would very much like to there's a lot of things I want to know, but in due time. Need to see Dory, Broggy, or Giant Luffy step on Saturn. Step on him like the buggy is. And mind you, I wonder what Kizaru's going to do in this situation. Because mind you, the last time he tried to go up against a giant, he never really got the chance to shoot oars in the head during the Marineford War. So now, you got two giants. So I wonder what Kizaru and Saturn are going to do in this situation. That's what I'm wondering. Overall, fantastic chapter, 10 out of 10. The fact that Dory and Broggy are here, this is a great chapter. It's a W. That's how you say it. And we still don't know how Im sounds. No, we don't. So overall, this was a great chapter. I'm looking forward to the next one. I really am. This was, I just want to say to everyone here, it's an immense joy and privilege to be your entertainer, your manga reactioneer. I enjoy doing this. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. You guys are a blessing to me just by being here. And I'm looking forward to you guys in my next one. We got Jujutsu Kaisen next, because as I said, My Hero Academia is on break right now. But all I can say is that this was a fantastic chapter. We're going on break for One Piece, so we get a bit of a rest. But overall, this is a good chapter to leave us on break, because now we got to wonder, how did Dory and Broggy get here? Why are they here? What's their purpose for being here? There's so many things to think of for this whole week while we're on break, and I can't wait to see where the next chapter picks up. But I'm done with my reaction with One Piece. Let's move on to Jujutsu Kaisen. Hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like, comment, subscribe, even become a member, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, The Blue Ark, hi to you as well. Later, peoples. I'm just hitting my mic being all unprofessional. I'm so sorry.